Hey hackers, welcome to Game Hacking 101. In today's video, we are diving headfirst into the exciting world of game hacking. I'm Nilad Mishra, a cybersecurity professional, a part-time bug bounty hunter, and a full-time pen tester. I would like to thank Bugcrowd for sponsoring this series. On Bugcrowd platform, you can expect the best opportunities to make money, advance your skills, and build a good cybersecurity community. In this video, we'll explore the fundamentals of game hacking, reverse engineering, and we'll also use many interesting tools like Ghidra, Cheat Engine. We'll be using Pawn Adventure 3 for demonstration purposes. This game is designed to be intentionally vulnerable, making it perfect playground for learning the ins and outs of game hacking. This video will guide you through the setup, and we'll also discuss some tools that we can use for game hacking, and we'll also solve our first quest of the game as well. To get started on this adventure, you'll need a few tools. First of all, we'll need a Windows machine with good graphic card so that we can play the game. A virtual machine software such as VMware can be used. In order to run the game server, we'll also use Docker and Docker-Compose. We'll also need another tool that is known as Ghidra. Ghidra is a good and powerful tool for reversing and decompiling binaries. You will need to install Java, JDK, and Java runtime as well in order to run Ghidra. Cheat Engine for manipulating runtime memory and changing in-game value. First things first, head over to the official Pawn Adventure 3 website at pawnadventure.com and you'll find the game available for download. Now to run our own game server, we are going to utilize VMware Virtual Machine, allowing us to run Docker container. We can use any other machine as well, as long as it's on the same network and have more than 2 GB of RAM. Follow the steps on GitHub repository of Live Overflow to set up the game server. We will be using the option third and set up the game server on the VMware machine. Understanding Docker. Now for those of you who might be wondering what's Docker, it's a tool that containerizes application. It allows you to create, deploy, and run applications in an isolated, portable containers and fixes most works on my machine issue. This simplifies software development and ensures consistent behavior across different environments. Docker-Compose is a tool for defining and running multi-container Docker applications. It allows to use a YAML file to configure our applications, services, networks, and volumes, and then deploy and manage entire application stack with a single command. In order to set up our game server, we'll need Docker and Docker-Compose. Both of them can be installed by navigating to docs.docker.com. With the repository cloned on our virtual machine, game server machine, it's time to use Docker to kickstart your game server. Docker-Compose is the tool that we will use to manage services and streamline the setup. Run docker-compose build and then finally we can run docker-compose up command, and you might get an error that is of a path, but just to resolve this, just simply create this directory and then when you run docker-compose up, it shall be working. Just a second. Yeah. As you can see, we have ran the game server right now. Once you have downloaded the game client and set up your server, there's one more crucial step that we'll need. We'll need to make some changes inside the games file to connect it to our custom server. So first I'll open Notepad. Just Notepad as administrator. And then we can just navigate to our game client. Inside this particular directory, there is a file called server.ini, and you'll need to replace it with the value provided in the GitHub repository of Live Overflow. Once you have saved these, The next thing what we'll need to do is we'll need to make changes on our Windows host file. And for that, we have opened this particular notepad. And as you can see, the IP address of my virtual machine, this particular virtual machine is this, and we have edited our host file with this particular IP address and domain. So basically we need to change two files, that is like the Windows host file that will reflect the IP address of our virtual machine, and the second file is the server.ini file with the values provided in the GitHub repository. This will be in the server folder of our game, right? So now we have started our game server, and let's try to start the game. I've already created my username, and you can register a new account, and yeah, let's start this one. You can press P to show the player view, and as the game starts, you'll notice the player character in the game world. You can press P to reveal the player's character. We haven't made any edits, so you'll see the initial gameplay. The adventure kicks off inside a cave where you'll eventually acquire Fire Spell, allowing you to escape the cave and explore the island in the game world. I recommend playing the game a little and exploring the island as well. Now you can shoot the fireballs, and yeah, it's kind of a good weapon. So finally, we were able to escape the cave, and now we can explore the island a little. Now that we have had a chance to play around with Pawn Adventure 3, set up our game server, and get a feel for the game, we'll be using game server to save our game progress as we solve different quests, learn more about hacking online games. Now it's time to dive deep into the game's source code and embark on some reverse engineering to understand what's happening on the client side. First, let's take a look at the game folder. Inside, we find various folders, particularly .exe file. Among these, there's a binary folder housing critical files, gamelogic.dll, gamelogic.pdb. The PDB file stands for Program Database. It stores debugging information about DLL. DLL files are dynamic link library containing reusable code that can be shared among different programs. After you have set up Java on your system, you can directly run Ghidra just by navigating to the folder and simply running the ghidra run.bad file. The prerequisite for this is that JDK and JRE must be installed in your system. Now, after opening Ghidra, I'll try to create a new project and open gamelogic.dll on this. We can import gamelogic.dll file just by selecting import. And from here on, I'll select binaries and then gamelogic.dll. Ghidra will be able to detect .pdb file by itself. Ghidra's interface is user-friendly. Once we open gamelogic.dll, on the left we'll see program trees, symbol tree that organizes classes, namespace, and more. On the right, you'll find the compiler and the listing table. Analyzing the game code. As Ghidra decompiles the game, we are going to look for critical functions that hold valuable information and allow us to manipulate the game. In our quest for game advantages, we want to identify memory addresses where data like jump speed, walking speed, health are stored during runtime. We'll start with searching for interesting functions that we observed when we played the game. The default abilities we had initially, like walking, jumping, etc. For example, let's look for speed. We find functions like get jump speed, get walking speed. What we can do is note down the addresses that are provided here. We'll store these values in a notepad. The idea here is to find memory addresses associated with these functions, as these will be our key in manipulating our in-game values. Record these memory addresses in a notepad, noting down functions that seem interesting for future manipulation. So far, we have noted down memory addresses for functions like get jump speed, get walking speed, and so on. I recommend you guys to continue exploring more functions that we can exploit. Once we search for other values, record these memory addresses in a notepad, noting down functions that seem interesting for future manipulation. So far, we have noted down memory addresses for functions like get jump speed, get walking speed, and upon searching a little, I also found a function that is can jump and get jump hold time. Each of these functions can offer unique opportunities for tweaking the in-game experience. Our goal is to find functions that give us edge in the game. Maybe we can enable air jumps, increase jump height, or tweak player speed. Each of these functions will be a stepping stone to achieving an exciting in-game advantages. Now that we have identified the functions important to us, we are ready to use Cheat Engine to manipulate them. Using Cheat Engine, we'll modify the memory addresses value and also explore pointer mapping and scanning. This is where the real magic happens, allowing us to manipulate in-game values and giving us superpowers inside the game. Now let's log into the game and see if we can change something inside the game. Cheat Engine allows you to manipulate runtime memory and also serves as a fantastic debugging tool for Windows. By using Cheat Engine, we can search for different values used inside the game and change them. Edit assembly instructions to manipulate game logic as well. With the game still running, we'll attach Cheat Engine to it. Click on the designated icon, access the process list, and select Open. Next, we will click on Memory View to leverage memory addresses that we have noted down previously. Omit the static 100, instead we'll use the game's DLL file to access the offset. For example, we can right click here and select go to address, and then we can simply enter gamelogic.dll plus the address that we have noted down earlier. And we can directly move to the functions that we have noted down. So just to test this out, I'll try to change the game jump speed and simply go here. This takes us to game's get jump speed function in the memory. To get the memory address of jump speed, we can simply right click on this function and select. So we can select find out what addresses this instruction accesses. As you can see, we got the value, and once we double click it, we can add it inside our cheat table. Now we can edit the value. For example, by manipulating this particular value, we will be able to edit our jump speed inside the game. So just to try this out, let's do this 7,000 because I don't want to crash the game, but yeah, let's do it 70,000. And as you can see, we are able to jump way too high by manipulating our jump speed value. There's a catch though. The values that we have changed right now are stored inside a dynamic memory. They reset when we restart the game, and finding memory addresses again and again can be time consuming and a bit frustrating as well. To overcome dynamic memory, we can use pointer mapping and scanning. This technique involves finding pointer paths that consistently lead to the memory address we want to modify. A pointer is an object that stores memory addresses. Basically, a pointer references a location in the memory by using pointer path. In Cheat Engine, we can ensure that we always have memory addresses of the values that we would like to change. First, we find a value that we know is correct and then add it to our cheat table. For example, let's take the value that is of jump speed. We first find a value that we know is correct, then add it to our cheat table. Generating a pointer map allows us to save these paths, so that even if the memory address changes, we can always find our way back. Right click on this value and select Generate Pointer Map. Once our pointer map is generated, we can right click on this particular value and start a pointer scan for this address. And then we can use saved pointer map, and then we can provide this particular pointer map. We can select the compare results with other saved pointer maps option, so that the scanning can compare the results of our previously saved pointer map. Once our pointer scanning is completed, we can see that we have found multiple pointer paths that will point us to the value that we want. We'll have to change the particular type of value because the pointer scan doesn't keep it into the mine. So this was a float, and now we can just simply click on the pointer paths to add that in our cheat table. After using pointer scanning by comparing the results with our previously generated old pointer map, now we are sure that we'll always get the right value. After the scan, we will find multiple pointer paths and we'll save these paths in Cheat Engine by using the feature of cheat table. So we'll always have the options to get the value that we want. Now we can save the file as a cheat table, and we can add here the name of the cheat table that we want. And save it. As you can see, we have saved the value. Now let's see if I navigate and try to log out. And then start the game again. As you can see, our previous value is still working. Once our cheat table is set up, these pointer paths ensure that we retain our desired values, even when the game is restarted. It's like saving your progress in a game. With pointer paths in place, we can streamline our cheat table and avoid losing our values each time we play. And there we have it, a powerful technique to ensure you never lose your game hacking progress. Now that we have seen how we can preserve the game values and use cheat table, now it's time to explore the vast potential within Cheat Engine. The process of adding these values to cheat table remains consistent. We'll venture into memory view, enter the memory address using gamelogic.dll plus the offset that we have noted down from Ghidra, and find out what addresses this instruction accesses. From this exploration, we have pinpointed key values like jump speed, walking speed. For now, we can skip the canJump function and return to it later. Next, we are delving into getJump hold time. The process repeats. Navigate to the address. Remember to add gamelogic plus the offset. Now here comes the exciting part. We'll right click here and find what instruction this value accesses. Double click it and the process remains the same. By increasing jump hold time, we effectively gain the ability to glide and elevate our height, giving us a sense of flight within the game. While it's not a full-fledged fly hack, it's still exhilarating. But what about canJump? This function is different. It doesn't return a value. Instead, it determines whether something is true or false. Let's delve into the memory address of canJump and observe the instructions that are present in this function, and see if we can change the canJump function behavior. Our mission here is to alter canJump to always return true, essentially enabling us to jump anytime, even in the mid-air. We can achieve this by replacing the instruction with NOP codes, effectively making functions return always true. We leave a particular instruction, that is CMP ECX untouched, since it will always remain true no matter what. Once we have replaced the function's instruction with NOP, you can see that this function constantly remains true, allowing us to jump in the air. To streamline this process and make it more user-friendly, Cheat Engine offers a fantastic tool called AutoAssembler. By using AutoAssembler, we can write a script that will automatically replace these assembly instructions just by a single mouse click. Let's create a script now. So as you can see, we are navigating to player CanJump function here. We can also use the memory view and right click here and select go to address. Then use the same offset that we are using. Now we can copy these particular values. Click on Tools and select Auto-Assemble. Then we can select the table and a template. The template that we will use for this particular thing will be Cheat Table Framework Code. Here, inside the disable part, we'll use this particular DB. So we'll write the key P here, and then we also have to provide the offset. We'll copy the code once we replace everything and make sure that a cheat is working. So let's replace this with NOP again. As you can see, now we are able to do air jump. So I'll just quickly copy these particular values. Okay, so yeah, in the enable part, I'll enter these values, that is DB. What this will do is, once this particular script is enabled, the memories will be changed with NOP instructions, allowing us to jump while we are in it. And let's see if it's working. As you can see, this one is working. And then we can select assign to current cheat table, and we can also save the cheat table as well. Now let's just check our auto-assembled script is working or not. As you can see, we have enabled that. Now, after disabling, we are unable to jump when we are in air. I'll just change the name of it and organize it a little. So as you can see, our script is working perfectly, and we can just change the game logic by just a click by leveraging the tool of auto assembler that Cheat Engine offers. By executing the script, we instantly enable the changes. We can even save the script within our cheat table for future use. With our script enabled, our character can now jump at will even when falling. It's like having a power to control gravity within the game. There's one power we haven't unlocked yet: the ability to fly or pinpoint the player's coordinate. Using Cheat Engine, we can use the search for unknown value feature. In Cheat Engine, simply navigate to first scan and select the scan type unknown value. In the game, initiate your first scan, then select unchanged value. We can also use the repeat selection and then keep on performing next scan. As you can see, we have found around a lot of values, and from here on, we want to find out player's height. Now we can select increased value. As we have already increased our jump speed, and we select the scan type to increase value, and then we simply jump inside the game to increase the value of our height, and then select next scan. Keep on selecting next scan as long as we are going up. Once we are coming down, we can select decrease value and then select next scan. Once we are on the ground, we can select unchanged value. And there we will have one particular value that should be our height. As long as we are ascending, we'll keep searching for increased values. By repeating this process, and after some trial and error attempts, we will find the value of our player's height coordinates. When we are descending, we can search for decreased values. When we are on the ground, we can select unchanged value and then check the repeat tab and then select next tab. Doing it a couple of times will provide us the value of our height coordinate. We can also change the camera angle to make sure we are changing a lot of values. Once we are narrowed to around, let's say, 100 values, we can simply add them to our address list and then filter out by freezing, let's say, half of the values and try jumping. So as you can see, we are able to jump. So this means these values are of no use to us as they are not the coordinates of height. So I can delete these records, and then we have another bunch remaining. You can simply do the same with this bunch and try to freeze. And as you can see, we have pinpointed the value. So we can delete the other bunch as we know that height value is somewhere around here. That has been frozen. So we can delete everything from here to here. And we have found the value of our height, right? Let's verify it again. Yeah. As we can see, we can be in air for like a lot of duration. But yeah, freezing this doesn't gives us any fly hack ability. Instead, we are still falling down, but our height is not decreasing. Once we have found the height coordinates, we can simply generate a pointer map and do pointer scanning to get the pointer paths that will always point to the value of our player's height. Similarly, we can repeat this process for finding x and y axis coordinates of our player as well. Usually, the values of player coordinates are stored next to each other. So we can also try adding or subtracting 4 from the offset path to find the value of x and y axis coordinates. You can simply use Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V to copy paste the values. And once we identify the path here, I'll begin subtracting to check the values that are nearby. And yeah, these are also float values. Now, let's see if changing them works. As you can see that my player slightly moved towards a different area. Yep, so it's working. And once we have identified all of these, we also have player coordinates. Now let's look at the first quest that we are going to solve. For locating the quest, we can just simply navigate here and change the jump hold time. So let me just look at the jump hold value for a second. We can repeat the process for a second. Let's find the quest location. Look for islands with fire burning high. You can elevate yourself to get into a good view and head in that direction. For this challenge, we are setting the game speed back to default to ensure stability and explain our strategy. We are going to try a different approach, this time air jump strategy. We'll enable air jump to set up jump speed back to default normal. Then we can control the moment. After locating the treasure crate, when we press E to start it, it starts a 5-minute timer. Your goal is to remain within the specific area for those 5 minutes. Here's the catch: if you step out of that area, the timer stops and the quest fails. Plus, those not so friendly bears will come along charging at you. Try to complete the quest a couple of times prior to exploiting the game. Initially, I thought I could just press E and open the crate and just wait out here. But apparently, the bears kill you from long range with an AK-47 rifle. So right now, our new plan involves finding a safe spot under the tree. In game hacking, this is also known as no-clip mode, in which we are able to get through any object in the game. We'll use our pointers of our player coordinates that we have found earlier to get inside the tree. So let's see how this will work once we press E and start the game. Initially, as you can see, I'm above the tree. Once I get here, I can simply reduce my height using Cheat Engine. Once we are above the tree, the bears won't attack us. Note the coordinates, which will come in handy later on. So basically, what we want to do is, we want to get inside the tree object so that the bears don't attack us and we can wait out for the timer to go down. So let's try this. As you can see, I've come above the tree and now I'll try to manipulate the player coordinates that I've previously noted down of the tree. As you can see, we have successfully covered ourselves inside the tree and the bears are not able to attack us because they are not detecting us. Instead, the object. What's funny is, I can actually attack the bears. Now we'll wait it out here till the timer runs out. Once we are above the tree, the bears won't attack us and we can complete the quest successfully. Once the timer runs out, we can loot the chest, and it's crucial to note that within the quest area, flying too high or going too far below the ground will trigger a quest failure. So the best way to solve this challenge was to change the player coordinates and get inside of an object. While this technique works for this challenge, there are several other ways to exploit this. In future videos, we will also use DLL injection to create an internal game hack. So as you can see, now the timer is stopped and we have to get rid of all these bears. So I'll just jump above in the air until these bears vanish. And then I can successfully loot the crate right now. As you can see, we have also achieved another weapon known as remote exploit, and the name looks very cool. In this video, we have unlocked the incredible potential of Seed Engine, Ghidra, learned how to manipulate in-game values using Seed Engine. We have tried some advanced techniques like generating pointer map, creating autoassembler script, pointer scanning. This also helped us in solving our first quest of the game. Special thanks to Bugcrowd for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Subscribe and share it with your friends. If you're interested in hacking, sign up at Bugcrowd right now at bugcrowd.com/hackers.